Comic Schtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. My name is Blake T. Wild. You may also know me as Smokey's Videos. And on this week's episode, I'm going to be talking a lot about Ghostbusters, seemingly. There's a lot of Ghostbusters stuff that just sort of materialized from a ectoplasmic realm, alongside Black Adam and my review of Miss Marvel. So stick around for that, or, just skip ahead to the time codes for whatever topic you're interested in the most. Like always, every episode I have the time codes of each topic in the description. But do not skip this, because it's Destructo Boy. The Era of Alpha Cardinal, Part 1 of 2 is on sale now. Etsy.com/shop/Blake T. Wild. Make sure you capitalize the B, T, and W. This is a 20-something page sci-fi romp about this evil... I don't know why I'm falling apart during this. About this evil cultist called Alpha Cardinal going up against Destructo Boy. That little robot's the only thing that can save Zephyrus Space Station when the evil, indomitable Alpha Cardinal makes his appearance. There he is, right there, as you can see. So yeah, check this out. It's black and white. Etsy.com. $9.99 for the physical copy. $5 for the digital. As you can see on the back, there is a character illustration of Orin Aronitis. Each physical copy comes with a free head sketch of any character of your choosing. So I will draw anything. I'll draw the creature from the Black Lagoon. I'll draw Deadpool. I will draw Minetta from My Hero Macadamia. I'll draw anything and stick it in here on a little piece of paper right here, and I'll autograph it right here. If you buy 2 copies, I'll draw 2 things. If you buy 1 copy, I'll draw 1 thing. If you can't think of something for me to draw, you don't have to put something. It's just a little freebie that I include in here. If you have a couple of ideas, you can give me a list of characters, and I'll pick one if you want me to. A couple of people have done that. Or, some people have also been like, hey, draw whatever character you like, and I'll do that too. Check it out. Etsy.com/shop/Blake T. Wild. Link in the description. Link's on the screen right now. Check out my link tree to find it there, too. Issue 2 is coming soon. I promise. Alright, now that is out of the way, I'm going to take a nice drink of water so we can get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, although based on my analytics, gentlemen. Starting this off, this is a little, it's one of my little personal bits that I'm starting off with, is that I've been getting into Doctor Strange comics. After watching Multiverse of Madness, I've loved that movie. Check out my episode on that. It's my favorite MCU film. I really wanted to get into Doctor Strange, so I started buying, old Doctor Strange issues. I bought a bunch at the Phoenix Fan Fusion, aka Comic Con, and they are quite enjoyable. I've been reading through the original, Steve Ditko era Doctor Strange. Those are quite enjoyable as well. So I'm trying to become a Strange head. I don't know, is that what you call a Doctor Strange fan? What do you call a Doctor Strange fan? Probably nothing, because there aren't many of them. There is, during my readings, I was reading the, who was I? think it might have been the Roger Stern run. I bought some issues from there. And there was just this really funny gag that, well, it's not really shown as a gag. It's sort of like it's just something that happens. But I think it would be a funny gag to have in more Doctor Strange stuff. And in this issue, Doctor Strange is walking down the street, and he's heading towards this manor that has dark energy emitting from it. And then he gets into a astral battle with this evil wizard. But the funny part is, because he goes into his astral form, he has to leave his body. So to everybody else on the street, he's just walking, and then suddenly he just collapses to the sidewalk. and there's these people that run over and check on him, and they're like, oh my god, we gotta call the cops, is this guy dead? Oh my god. And meanwhile, above them in the astral plane, Strange is just having battle with this evil magician, and there's all this going on. And I know this sort of happened in the first Doctor Strange film, but that was at a more, he was like on a hospital bed, so it wasn't that big of a shock that he just dies off. But Doctor Strange, he defeats the evil magician, and then he just returns to his body, and he just springs up, thanks the people around him for, being good citizens, and then just runs off. And I don't know, that just seems like such a fun, almost, it's a fun physical comedy gag that I think would have really suited Sam Raimi, because, he loves physical comedy in the Three Stooges. So, hey, if he does Doctor Strange 3, I hope we get to see Doctor Strange just walking along and him just utterly collapse to the ground and everybody freak out. So that ends that little topic. Now on to some comic book news. I got a lot more movie stuff than I do comics this week. Pretty slow week for comics, although one of these things is really interesting and I'm very excited for it. This one is not it. Dan Slott leaving the Fantastic Four after issue 46. Dan Slott is a very divisive comic book writer. I enjoy most of his Spider-Man stuff. I never read his... No, that's not true. I read, the first issue, I believe, of his Fantastic Four run, but that was primarily out of, just general excitement that Marvel was finally doing something with the Fantastic Four again. All of them together, not just Ben and Johnny. And I never picked it up after that. Apparently it's been 46 months since he started. Boy, how time flies. But yeah, that's an odd number to leave off on, is number 46. I don't know if he's going to be replaced by somebody, or if this is just the end of the run. I didn't look into it that much, but hey, if you didn't like Dan Slott's Fantastic Four, now you can rejoice. If you did like Dan Slott's Fantastic Four, now you can disjoice. Moving on to some DC comic book news, and that is that DC, this is the book that it is called, DC Horror presents Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead, a 6-issue miniseries releasing in September 2022, and it will be written by Bruce Campbell, with art by Eduardo Risso. Bruce Campbell obviously played Ash Williams in the Evil Dead films and the show. So, he is great. He has 2 books that he has written, I guess. I haven't read them, but they're autobiographies. They're histories of, his retellings of his career. I assume that he at least mostly wrote them. I don't think he would get a ghostwriter, but who knows. Yeah, it's Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. And apparently there's a Frank Quitely cover that is just incredibly gory, and DC doesn't want to show anybody yet or something. So I'm hoping I can get that one. I'm very excited about this. I love Bruce Campbell. He is terrific. I'm glad it's a 6-issue miniseries, so I know how many I have to collect. And I like Sergeant Rock. I really do. He's a fun character. I don't know what the fuck the last thing he appeared in was. It's probably something from 40 years ago. Sergeant Rock, he is what squadron or whatever, but something Quiet Battalion. I can't remember what his squad is called. He's a World War II comic hero. He's one of those characters that just never moves past World War II. He's always fighting a different battle each issue. He hangs out with that. He hangs out sometimes with the Haunted Tank, which that's not the actual name of it. I can't remember what it was, but there was a comic book where this tank battalion or troop, tank operators, they operate a tank that has been possessed by a Confederate general. So, that gets a bit iffy, but Sergeant Rock was good. Those were some of the earliest comics that I read. They often say, I don't know who they are, just people in general, often say that men have a tendency to go through a sort of midlife crisis at a certain age, in which they become obsessed with World War II. Well, for me, that happened when I was about 10. I became obsessed with World War II, and I had to watch all the movies, watch the documentaries. I would be super excited when we would read about World War II and learn about it in history class. And one of those things that I was obsessed with was getting Sergeant Rock comics. So I have a fair amount of Sergeant Rock issues. Not that many, because I've gone through this before. I don't have a comic. I never knew I had a comic book store in my hometown because it's pretty small and bad. So I would always have to get them when we'd go out of town, and there would be this other comic book store. I would just get Sergeant Rock books there. So yeah, anyway, this is all leading to me to say that I'm very excited about Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. How can you go wrong? It's as classic as mac and cheese or peanut butter and jelly, World War II and zombies. It just goes together. Stranger Things, Season 5. Well, I don't really know what this is. This was something I forgot to mention last week when I covered the ending half of Stranger Things. Season 4, Volume 1. Apparently Season 4, Volume 2 is going to be 2 episodes that are about 2.5 hours each. But that's not what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, is a quick little theory I had that I wanted to get out there because I just completely blanked on it last week. Apparently, there is going to be a time jump. People have said it's going to be a big time jump between Season 4 and 5. What if Season 4 ends with the apocalypse? Like Ash vs. Evil Dead, spoiler alert. That's really all that I wanted to say here. I doubt that's what will happen, although maybe they do some sort of fucking, like, weird Days of Future Past mind time travel. But hey, if I'm right, then this is where I was right at. You can come and congratulate me in a year or two when I'm correct and Season 5 premieres. Speaking of... I don't know. This doesn't really have anything to do with... Speaking of children in the 80s doing stuff that bends the laws of physics and time travel, there you go. That's a good segue. Papergirls, the incredible comic book series by Brian K. Vaughan and whoever the artist is, I cannot remember. It has been adapted by Amazon and is going to be premiering on Amazon Prime July 29th. Papergirls, if you have not read it, is very confusing to explain. It is about 4 girls, teenage girls, who have paper roots in this small little town. And one day they run across some monsters who turn out to be time travelers on the run from this, like, out-of-time police force. And, then it just gets, they just have worse and worse luck from there. That's all I'll say. It is an incredible comic book series. I'd recommend just getting, the trade paperbacks before this series gets popular, and they're probably still going to be a little cheaper. Because, goddamn, it is a great series. It is just, you can read it so quickly. It's just like a breakneck speed, but it still allows great character development and emotions. It's one of the best comic series I've read in recent years. So definitely check that out before Papergirls premieres next month on Amazon Prime. And more movie stuff. Okay, here we go. Anthony Hopkins is going to star in Zack Snyder's Star Wars, But They Say Fuck. I don't remember what the actual title of his movie is, but it's been described as R-rated Star Wars, so I'm just calling it Star Wars, But They Say Fuck. Because I bet they will. Anthony Hopkins is apparently going to voice a robot who's like a former battle war droid. Well, they can't say droid because that's owned by Lucasfilm. There's like a battle robot or something, like a war robot. I don't know. The design looks interesting, I guess, but really, how that, like, this, I don't know. I don't think this movie's gonna do very well. I don't think it's gonna. I just don't know. I think it's gonna go the route of Army of the Dead, which was not very good and had a lot of just weird elements that are just, just back there to provide a little extra spice to the movie. Like, if you haven't seen it, Army of the Dead is about a zombie outbreak happening in Los Angeles. The reason that happens is because the military is transporting this, like, big-ass zombie man that they have for some reason. And at the beginning of the film, as the military convoy is leaving the base, you can see 2 alien UFO spaceships taking off in the sky from above the military base, and it's never brought up again. So yeah, Anthony Hopkins is going to be in Star Wars But They Say Fuck. I don't know when that comes out, but I'm looking forward to it. More movie stuff, kind of. Ezra Miller, the famed actor and star of The Flash, a movie that may never come out, is being sued by the parents of this 18-year-old girl for having groomed her. And yeah, I guess we know where to find the Fantastic Beasts. They're in Hawaii and called Ezra. Heyo. Yeah, so Ezra Miller has apparently been grooming this girl for years. Although, when you read the articles about it, you come into question what kind of parents these people are. I don't want to get too much into this, but from what I've read, they let their... how old was she supposed to be around that time? 12 to 14-year-old girl fly overseas to London and spend several weeks alone with this adult... Well, Ezra Miller's gender fluid, so this adult... And the parents just seemingly didn't bother contacting them. They just let their teenage girl go away with this actor for a couple weeks. And, yeah, apparently she has formed a, I don't know, the parents are like, oh, yeah, Ezra Miller's trying to form a cult or something. He's using abuse and drugs and shit like that to keep their daughter under control. And, yeah, it has come out that, the courts are trying to serve the, restriction papers to Ezra Miller, but they can't find him, or they can't find them. So Ezra Miller is currently missing. I don't know. Maybe he is trying to start his own Manson-esque family. Maybe if or when he ever sobers up, if or when they ever sober up, Ezra Miller will star as Charles Manson in a biopic. But yeah, I guess stick around. I'll keep you updated on what the fuck is going on with Ezra Miller. The Flash movie still hasn't come out, that's for sure. Yeah, who knows what they're going to do with that. Everybody's like, oh, they should get Grant Gustin, the guy who plays the Flash on the TV show. And I'm saying, hey, might as well just get an actual blonde guy to do it. I don't really care for Grant Gustin. I never watched the Flash TV show, but from the stuff I've seen, he's alright. I don't know who they could get. Somebody, maybe. Maybe get someone. That's what I am taking away from this. Hey, DC, Warner Brothers. This is a pretty simple way to get out of this. Just get somebody else. Duh, you ever think of that? Moving on. Nope. Jordan Peele's Nope. N-O-P-E, which people believe stands for Not of Planet Earth, because it's about aliens. They released another trailer for it. Apparently this is the final trailer. I don't remember when it releases. But there's a lot of stuff going on. And spoiler alert, possibly for Nope, in case you don't want to get spoiled, is that there were leaks about 3-ish weeks ago that are going over, it's like a plot outline, basically. Apparently the film's going to be broken up into different chapters. There's, flashback scenes. It just goes over the plot of the film. So, it is, in essence, this is just based on what I remember. So the plot of the film is about Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer's characters who own a ranch with their father. They're Hollywood horse trainers. You see that in the trailer. She talks about that. One day their father is just killed by some debris that fell from the sky. And their father is played by Keith David, maybe? I can't remember. So he dies. And they're like, what the fuck was that? And they notice that above their, ranch, there is a single cloud in the sky that just does not move at all. And so as the film progresses, we learn more about the characters of, this town that they live outside of. Stephen Yeun being one of them. Stephen Yeun is a former childhood actor who was on this, sitcom in the 80s or 90s. And one of the characters on that sitcom was a chimpanzee called Grady or something like that. And we see this in this newest trailer, and that is a flashback to like this interview with the cast, and Grady the chimp loses his shit and just starts fucking attacking people and mauls this woman. So yeah, we see that in the trailer, and in the plot outline, it's like, yeah, Steven Yeun's character became obsessed with like the chimps and aliens for some reason or something along those lines, which is why he has this like roadside show with like fake aliens and shit, and he's like real show busy, stuff like that. He's like, oh my god, you can film terrible things and show it to anybody. So that is happening, and meanwhile Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, I don't remember what their characters' names are, they are going around and trying to get evidence that there's a fucking UFO hanging out above their house. So they get all this like camera equipment, security cameras. They hire this like documentary filmmaker guy to come to their ranch and like set up shop and film stuff. So you know, most of the movie is about them trying to like get evidence of this alien, because they're like, we could be fucking rich, we can have the first evidence of alien life on Earth. Blah blah blah, and yeah, so that's seemingly the whole movie. And the alien is not actually like a humanoid alien or like a glob alien in a ship. Apparently, what is said to be the ship is the alien itself. And now into some more weird stuff. Instead of abducting people, whenever somebody looks at like the center of the ship, they die. That's about it. I don't know if they like get evaporated or what. They just get vaporized. But yeah, that's apparently what happens. We see that in this trailer as well, with like the empty little like roadside show that Steven Yeun has. I assume that he's gonna start some show, and like they sacrifice a horse to the aliens, or he tries to, but then the alien ship actually shows up and everybody dies. But yeah, so that's the leaked plot. Now, my theory about this film is that, if you've noticed, I talk a lot about show business and film in that little recap. There are a lot of allusions to cameras and recording things. Steven Yeun's character, he is a sitcom star who was on a talk show that was filmed in front of a live studio audience, blah, blah, blah. It was filmed for television. When something horrible happened, which was the chimp going bananas, so there's that. In the trailer, we see like the studio cameras, and the studio cameras resemble the like alien masks that Steven Yeun sells at his like little alien shop. Like they have a very similar design, which is interesting. And I do like the alien design, quote unquote alien, for Steven Yeun's thing. They look a lot like barn owls, which is I'm really into aliens and UFOs and stuff like that. So I've read a lot of stories and recounts and whatever, and a lot of times people like to use the excuse of an alien sighting as, oh, it was a barn owl. If you look up a barn owl, they're very creepy. They have, big eyes, and like you can see the beak, but it looks like a little mouth. So it's like, oh yeah, it was nighttime and you just saw a barn owl. If you look up barn owl and then you go watch the trailer, you'll see how similar the design is. So I don't know, I figure that would be intentional on Jordan Peele's part, just because he seems like he would put that sort of detail in there that like, yeah, this is this common thing that people who see UFOs and abduction stories encounter, and people say it's barn owls, so I'll make it look like that. But anyway, so the cameras in the studio look like the alien masks that Steven Yeun sells. What else? There's the whole plot line of Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer wanting to film the UFO. Fucking what else is there? I feel like that's most of it. I'm pretty sure there's something I'm missing, but I just cannot remember. So yeah, it's there's a lot of like they show cameras a lot. They show the documentary filmmaker. He's like in this little tent with a bunch of fucking cameras and monitors and like equipment. There's just a lot of stuff going on with film and cameras, which is why I think that this film is going to be some sort of commentary or like analogy on today's society filming tragic, horrible events like police brutality or shootings or, you know, just horrible things in general, and then just widely showing them to anyone and everyone who has eyes. My biggest, like, you know, reason to think that that's what the message, if any, is going to be behind in this film is that in the glimpses that we see of the UFO in the sky, like I said earlier, there's like a center circle of, like, on the underside of the ship, if it is a ship. And if you look at it, it either looks like an eyeball, which is what people said initially, or it looks like the lens of a camera. Now, the lens of a camera, it looks like this giant alien ship has what looks like a camera lens on the center of it, underneath. And like I said earlier, when people look at this center lens eye of the alien ship, they die. So, you know, I don't know. That's what my theory is. That, you know, it's going to be some sort of commentary on filming society. I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, I sort of just lost train of thought during that little last bit. So tell me what you think about Nope. Are you excited for it? I liked Us. I love Get Out. That's a great film. Us was good, but it's still not as good as Get Out. I never watched Jordan Peele's Twilight show. I heard it wasn't very good. But I am still excited to see where this goes because I do enjoy his films. Moving on to another black man in a horror movie. And that is Idris Elba Lion CuJaws, a.k.a. The Beast. Or no, it's just called Beast. I just saw this trailer yesterday. I never heard anything about it. It looks like it's probably going to be bad, but it also looks kind of entertaining, so I kind of want to check it out. And of course, you know, it's Idris Elba. How can you not like him? So the storyline is about this father taking a trip with his two daughters to South Africa, which is where he met his wife, and his wife is dead. So it's, you know, like a memorial vacation. And they're on this reserve, and then this giant fucking lion just attacks them and starts hunting them through, like, the brush. It looks like I said, Jaws or CuJaws, if you will, but with a giant lion. Yeah, I just wanted to bring a note to this because I kind of want to check it out. I don't know. I feel like Idris Elba would just work really well in horror movies, and this is a horror movie seemingly. I don't think it's like an action movie. Is The Gray? Is that a horror movie technically? I guess so, because that's what this sort of seems like. Yeah, so you know, more horror stuff with Idris Elba. I'm down for that. Again, check out CuJaws, the Lion. Another movie trailer. God almighty. This one is on Rob Zombie's Munsters, which was less of a trailer, more of a little teaser. It's weird seeing the Munsters in color. It just, something about it seems wrong. I was never somebody who enjoyed the Munsters. Well, I never watched enough of it to form a real opinion on it. I was always more of a Addams Family kid, hence my intense crush on Wednesday Addams. So yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Munsters or what their whole deal is. I never really gave a shit. But it's Rob Zombie, who has done some less than stellar stuff in recent memory, in terms of his filmmaking. But this sort of cheesy, campy quality to this trailer, and that's like you know, Rob Zombie. I don't know. When I think of his films, I think of oh god, is it House of a Thousand Corpses? Is that what it is? What is it? What's the one where where Rainn Wilson gets kidnapped by the fucking the clown guy, and he gets killed and turned into like a fish man or something? What is that movie? I cannot remember for the life of me. I haven't seen many of his films, and the ones I have seen, I've seen not recently at all. But they were fun for what they were. His Halloween films are alright. But like I was saying, this like campy, like B-level quality that's like his style. It's like, you know, like a grindhouse drive-in 70s B horror movie is like, it seems like the perfect aesthetic for Rob Zombie. So I am excited to I don't know, I'll probably wait until another trailer or two comes out to see if I want to see this. But for now, I'm interested. It seems fun. It seems like it'd be fun. Oh my god, another trailer. Okay, Black Adam. Black Adam. It's in the title, so I guess I gotta really talk about this one. Black Adam, also known as Teth Adam, is a character. And that's all I have to say. So, Black Adam, what do I have to say? Not excited about it at all. It looks fun, but I don't like The Rock. He's not a good actor. I don't like movies he's been in. I don't like Black Adam. I don't give a shit about Black Adam is what I should say. Like, I just could not care less about him as a character. I only enjoyed him in his very first ever appearance in Wiz Comics, which is my only real exposure to Black Adam, just because I never had any interest reading that. And Black Adam in that original story, because I don't know what his new updated origin is. In this Captain Marvel issue, Black Adam, you know, he's like the original Captain Marvel. He has all the same powers. He was going to the dark side, so the wizard Shazam fucking like cursed him to be trapped in stone or whatever, or to be trapped somewhere, like a tomb maybe. Black Adam gets freed. He starts wreaking havoc. Captain Marvel fights him, and then Captain Marvel tricks Black Adam into saying the word of power, Shazam, and Black Adam turns back into his human form. Black Adam is very old. He is from, like, early Egypt. So, or like, he's from sometime in Egypt. I think he was around when the pyramids were made after that. So he's old. He's a long, centuries-old character, or man. So, in this original Wiz comic, when he transforms back into his human form, he turns back to the age he was when he originally transformed into Black Adam. And then time catches up to him. And he starts growing older and older and older and older, and it keeps speeding up, and he's freaking out. He's like, "What did you do to me?" And he's just horrified at what he sees. And what he sees is his body decomposing before him into nothingness. He just dries out and turns into this malformed, dusty, fucking withered apart skeleton, and then he turns to dust and dies. And that was that one-off character, Black Adam, that they just used for this one issue, and then eventually he came back. That's never going to happen in this version, because The Rock, I imagine he's either... I don't know what is going to happen in Shazam 2. I haven't seen any like rumors or leaks about that, so maybe... I hope he doesn't show up in Shazam 2. I'd like to get 2 Shazam movies that are just fun without having to endure The Rock. So I hope he at least shows up in Shazam 3, because, like I said, they're mortal enemies. They're the yin to the yang. But yeah, in this trailer for Black Adam, I noticed like 2 weirdly similar scenes to the Black Panther trailer, which was odd. Check that image out on my Instagram, @NotBlakeWild. It looks fine. It looks fun. It looks fine. The Justice Society of America is there. For some reason, I doubt this takes place in the DC EU universe with, like, you know, Justice League and Peacemaker, maybe. Although, you know, who gives a shit? Just forget all the Snyder stuff. Hey, this universe, it kind of happened like that. But, yeah, Black Adam's also there now. It's a slightly different universe compared to the solely Zack Snyder universe. Let's just go with that. So it's Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, Hawkman, and the Green Woman. Whatever her name is. I never heard of her before. I feel like they are going to die. I feel like Black Adam is going to show up, they're going to recruit him, they're going to realize that, hey, this giant mountain of a bald man is a fucking psychopathic murderer, we got to stop him, and then it's Black Adam's just going to brutalize them all and murder them. Hopefully not Doctor Strange. Hopefully not Dr. Fate, because Dr. Fate's a cool character. But if they do kill Dr. Fate, who is played by Pierce Brosnan, so, you know, it's an old man who probably won't be coming back for a lot. I can see them using this as like a backdoor pilot / setup to a Doctor Strange, a Dr. Fate movie or series. Recently, and by recently I mean within the past 10 years or so, there was a new Dr. Fate who was like this teenager who wore like a blue hoodie and the Dr. Fate helmet. So hey, maybe Dr. Fate gets fucking murdered in this movie, and his helmet either is cast aside or, like a Green Lantern ring, it flies the fuck away to get away from Black Adam, and it finds like this teenage kid who will now be the new Dr. Fate, and boom, you got an HBO Max series. What else happens in this trailer? I don't remember, and I don't really care. What do you think of Black Adam? Are you excited? Before this year, I never realized how many people gave a shit about Black Adam. Like, people are fucking raving and ranting about how excited they are for Black Adam. I'm like, where did you come from? Who are you people? Why haven't you been talking about Black Adam for the past 10 years? What is going on? Is it just because it's a new character played by The Rock that everybody's getting excited about Black Adam? I don't know. He's the leader of his own nation, which is called Kandak, or I believe Kandak. What is he? He just sort of hangs out, really. He doesn't like to get involved in shit. He's like Namor, but for DC. He's just this dickhead leader of a country. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on the Black Adam trailer. Do you think my idea and theory is true? What do you think about that? More DC stuff, and that is that Harley Quinn is getting a Season 3. We already knew this, but now we know that it's coming out late summer 2022. I still haven't finished the first season, but hey, now I got more to look forward to when I do. Oh boy. Here we fucking go. Here's something big. And that is that Joker 2, entitled, the whole title is Joker 2, French is Fancy, has been announced. Now, I remember when this first film came out, and Todd Phillips and everybody else that worked on it said, no. This is just a little one-off story. We're not continuing this. We're not making a sequel. And then they saw the box office returns, and Warner Brothers offered him a big check, and he was like, yep, here comes number 2. But thankfully, they're seeming to get a little weird with it. And by that, I mean they're making it a musical. And not just any musical, a musical that is apparently going to star Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. What a complete tonal change and shift from the first movie. The first movie is literally just King of Comedy meets Taxi Driver, both Martin Scorsese films. They are blatant rips of Martin Scorsese. Fucking the whole storyline is just King of Comedy, which is an incredible film. Go watch it. I mean, I really like the Joker. I had a great time with it. I really dug it. I love the gross, grimy 80s New York setting. So I was perfectly fine with it. But what are they going to do now? Are they going to make it are they just going to do the same thing, but like take 2 different musicals and mash them up? Is it going to be West Side Story meets Mamma Mia? I don't know. I don't know. It's like, Jesus Christ. What I want to have happen is, I want this Joker series to just keep fucking going. And I want it to have a different genre each film. I want, the first one's that, like, you know, crime, gritty movie. The second one's a musical. The third one is a religious documentary. The fourth one's a rom-com. The fifth one's a sci-fi. Joker goes to space. Just turn this Joaquin Phoenix Joker series into the equivalent of Friday the 13th. Joker goes to hell. Joker X. Joker versus Joker. You can finally bring Jared Leto back. Just get crazy with it. Who gives a shit? People are going to watch it anyway because it's Joker. But yeah, there's a lot of big discussion I've seen online, specifically Reddit, about people shitting on the fact that it is a musical. Which is weird because they're like, oh shit, I'm so excited that Joker's getting a sequel, but I fucking hate musicals, so I'm gonna boycott this movie, you know, stuff like that. And it's leading me to believe, or to learn, just what kind of, like, I don't know, I never realized that many people had such outspoken hatreds for musicals. I don't know, I dig musicals, I really do. The best musical, my favorite musical, is called Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is a French film from the 60s, which is incredible. It is unlike any other musical you ever see in that this one it's entirely sung. You know, most musicals, they have the dialogue scenes, and then everybody breaks out in the song and dance, like La La Land or something. Or The Music Man, or any fucking musical. Little Shop... That's what I should have said earlier. It's Mamma Mia meets Little Shop of Horrors is the Joker, too. Any musical, they do the dialogue, and then they break out into song and dance. In Umbrellas of Cherbourg, I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've never heard it said before. Cherbourg? I don't know. It is entirely sung from beginning to end. Every interaction, everything that happens is the characters singing. And it is such a beautiful, just instrumentals, vocals, just everything about this movie is beautiful. It's set in Cherbourg, which is in France, I believe. I hope I'm right about that. And just it's such a great movie. I'm just going to start talking about that. This is my review of Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I highly recommend you check that out. It's on HBO Max, just like Joker. have a double feature to get yourself ready for Joker 2, which is going to be a musical. Moving on to something I am excited for, very excited for, and that is Paddington 3. Paddington 3 has finally been actually announced. I talked about it a while ago when I talked about when I did my little Paddington 1 and 2 mini reviews a couple weeks ago after I saw Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and that was that the production has begun and they've been working on it for some time in 2022. I thought they were going to start filming it late 2022, but they were actually going to begin sometime in 2023. So probably late this year, early next year, hopefully, is when they'll begin production. Principal photography, rather. And the official title is called Paddington in Peru. And, oh my gosh, I am so excited because I love the Paddington films. I've only ever watched them recently, like in the past month or two. It was the first time I ever saw them. But goddamn, those are some incredible films. It is not, however, the same director who has done the first two. I cannot remember his name. I believe his last name starts with a G of some sort. He is also directing the Willy Wonka prequel movie starring Timothée Chalamet. So he was, like, you know, just scheduling conflicts. He was unable to come to this, to work on this film. Although, apparently, I believe he did write the screenplay for it along with somebody else. So, you know, he does have that bit of it working. Like, he has worked on it. He hasn't just, like, you know, completely abandoned it or anything. And the new director is, like, some award-winning commercial director or something. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, so Paddington in Peru, it's probably going to come out sometime in 2024, which is, like, goddamn, that's almost a decade after the sequel. No, yeah? No, after the first one came out. Whew. I cannot wait. And finally, we get to the Ghostbusters section of this week's episode. Makes it sound like I always talk about Ghostbusters. So apparently, this past week, there was something called EctoCon, which was held. I have no idea where, I have no idea when. But there was this big Ghostbusters convention called EctoCon. And they announced a lot of stuff. So I'll go down this little list. There is a Ghostbusters animated series, a new one, apparently coming to Netflix. Even though, you know, a couple months ago, Netflix, like, axed their fucking animation division. So I guess they're bringing them back or something. I hope that's good, because that could be... there's a lot of possibilities there if you do that. They haven't said if it's going to have any sort of tie-in to the film or what, or if it's going to be like a continuation of the old animated show, or if it's going to be entirely new characters, or what they're doing about that. They just said that there's an animated series that they're working on. There may also be an animated movie. I'm not 100% certain on this. I might have gotten something mixed up, but I believe there might also be an animated Ghostbusters film in the works. So that's cool. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that. What was like the last tie-in show at Netflix really did? And Camp Cretaceous for Jurassic World, I think, which is apparently good. I haven't watched it, but yeah, I imagine it'd probably be something in the similar vein to that, which is disappointing in that it's 3D animation and it's pretty bland looking. Fucking nobody does 2D animation anymore, unfortunately. But like I said, I always bring this up whenever I talk about an animated film. Get the fucking studio that made Claws, because that film is beautiful. It looks 2D, but it's all rendered 3D. And it's just, it's such a beautiful film. It's up there in terms of visual quality with Spider-Verse. What's next? So, the Ghostbusters comic rights move to Dark Horse. For the longest time, IDW has had the rights to the Ghostbusters. They also have TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm not sure what else. For some reason, IDW has just been losing all of their licensed properties. They don't have Transformers anymore. They lost G.I. Joe. What did they have? They had something else. Was it Conan? Did they have Conan? No, that was Dark Horse, wasn't it? I can't remember. There's been a couple more licensed properties that IDW had for the longest time that they just don't anymore. And Ghostbusters is now another one that they've lost. They did Ghostbusters Ninja Turtles crossovers. They had this Ghostbusters running storyline and comic book series going. They did like all this shit with the multiverse and like the animated Ghostbusters meeting the live action Ghostbusters from the 80s, meeting the live action Ghostbusters from the 2016 film. So yeah, fuck, what have they got now? They just have they have TMNT and artist editions, which are giant books that print the original pages from comic books. Marvel still uses IDW to publish some of their books for some reason, which I will never understand. But yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine with their TMNT, because I doubt that that's really going anywhere. Where the fuck would Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles go besides IDW? So, you can keep making bank from that. But yeah, that's crazy that Ghostbusters comic rights are now at Dark Horse. I hope that means that we get like a new ongoing Ghostbusters series that's a bit darker and more spooky and demonic and monstrous maybe than the IDW series. The IDW was seeming a little more cartoony, I believe. I don't know. I'd just like to see something like a little more occultish in Ghostbusters. Fucking, that's what they could do, is just get Dan Aykroyd's 15,000 scripts that he's written for different Ghostbusters ideas and just fucking adapt them into comics. That would be fantastic. Because Dan Aykroyd has some out there ideas for Ghostbusters. They could do the original idea for Ghostbusters as a comic book adaptation, which is similar to what they did for the original script of Star Wars when it was called The Star Wars. And the original Ghostbusters was that they were in the future. There were Ghostbusters organizations around the world, and they go to a hell dimension called like New Hell York or something like that. And it's like, it's the opposite of Earth. It's like, it's New York in hell, essentially. So there's demons and ghosts and shit living in this hellish city. Just do something like that. That'd be cool. But what we do know for sure that they are doing in terms of comics is that there is going to be a Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel comic that is going to be tying into the films. And I say films because the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel has, I guess, been like officially announced. And it is called Firehouse. I don't know if it's going to be called like Ghostbusters Firehouse or if this is just sort of a working title at this time, but I am completely down for that. It's apparently going to be taking place back in New York, so on a road trip, I guess. I assume it's going to be the same kids since it's a sequel. Hopefully Paul Rudd comes back. That'd be fun. Maybe some more cameos. Maybe Rick Moranis shows up. Yeah, so I'm very excited. A lot of Ghostbusters news. I'm very excited for the Afterlife sequel. I fucking loved Afterlife. Excited to see what Dark Horse can do with Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was a huge part of my childhood. I was obsessed with those films to the point where I had a little modeling. I was really into modeling clay when I was a kid and making stuff. So I made like a Slimer about so high, like about 10 inches big, that I would like play with. Because I didn't have an actual Slimer toy. And, it captured my imagination, just like how they did it and the filmmaking behind it and the puppets and the storylines itself. It's one of those films that, like, it's like a stepping stone into getting into horror movies. So, yeah, that is just a shocking deluge of Ghostbusters-themed news that just came out in the past week. Okay, moving on to Marvel-related things. Thunderbolts has been announced. It is a movie directed by Jake Schreier, who I should have looked up to see what he did before this. He has worked on such hit movies like Robot and Frank, Paper Towns. Yeah, seemingly that's it. I've never heard of this man before. He's done a lot of television stuff. He did 2 music videos for Kanye West. He did 2 music videos for Justin Bieber. Holy shit. Benny Blanco? I don't know what or who that is. But yeah, he's directed a lot of TV and like music videos, seemingly. But yeah, he is going to be the director currently of Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, if you're unaware, there were 2 separate teams. The original was like this shitty version of the Avengers, which is funny because at the time the Thunderbolts was a thing, the Avengers were already shitty. Led by Hawkeye and Giant Man, and maybe War Machine was there. I can't remember who all was on the team. Then there was one with Luke Cage on the team, and like everybody wore red. In another version, it was like the Thunderbolts with Thunderbolt Ross, the Red Hulk, and Elektra and Punisher with a Red Skull shirt and shit like that. But then, the one that I think this is going to be based off of that everybody likes is the Thunderbolts team when it was a bunch of villains. So in the early 2000s, there was this storyline called Civil War. You may have heard of it. There was also Secret Invasion, and a little tie-in bit between those two is that government superhero registration and a reformation campaign and government organization to rehabilitate supervillains. And so there was this team of rehabilitated supervillains called the Thunderbolts, and it was led by this superhero called Citizen V. And they're doing their shit during Civil War, and eventually when shit hits the fan in Civil War and everything's going down, it is revealed that Citizen V this whole time, Citizen V, by the way, if you're unaware of what they look like, is somebody dressed as the American flag, with an American flag draped over their shoulder like a cape, and they're a master sword fighter. In an issue at the very end, at the Thunderbolts headquarters, all the villains are there, and they're like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this whole registration shit? Are we a part of that? Citizen V reveals himself to be Baron Helmut Zemo. Yep, it's Baron Zemo, who has been in disguise, the Captain America villain himself. And he just leads this team as they do various things. I can't remember what role they play in relations to Civil War and their crossover with it, their tie-ins. It's been so long since I read anything of Civil War, and the last time I did was probably 2016, 2015, and that was when I read everything in chronological order, every single tie-in issue and everything. But yeah, so it's a team of villains led by Baron Zemo. People have been suggesting characters it could be in the MCU, such as Zemo, Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Abomination, U.S. Agent, and Bucky for some reason. I guess people are like, oh, well, Bucky doesn't have much to do. Why doesn't he join the Thunderbolts? Which would be interesting. It'd be an interesting continuation between Zemo and Bucky, especially, with the whole Zemo fucking him over by assuming his identity and whatever, and also the whole Falcon and Winter Soldier series. But yeah, so Thunderbolts is in the works. And I went to eBay today to see what Thunderbolts comics were going for, and they're already way too expensive. Yay for the speculator market. This is going to be a short little topic. An extended cut of Spider-Man No Way Home is being released. Re-released, actually, I guess. No, it's getting released. This version is going to include deleted scenes never before seen, except for on the Blu-ray, I bet. And it's going to be titled Spider-Man No Way Home, the More Fun Stuff version. What the fuck is that name? Spider-Man No Way Home, the More Fun Stuff version? That's the best they could do? Seriously? It's coming out September 2nd. And like I said, it's just going to be the addition of deleted scenes. It's like what Marvel did with Endgame, where they re-released the film to get more money by adding about 5 minutes of new scenes onto the film. The only reason I can assume that this is happening is because Sony made the horrible decision of re-releasing Morbius, and it crashed and burned a second time. So they're like, oh fuck, we need to recuperate our money. Let's just fucking release Spider-Man No Way Home again. He said as he snorted a line of coke when asked what they should call it. The More Fun Stuff version, he shouted as cocaine and blood dripped from his nostril. And then the little messenger guy leaves the office, and he runs down the hallway to Amy Pascal's giant abode at the edge of the Sony Productions lot. And she's like, Miss Pascal, we have the name for the new Spider-Man film. It's called The More Fun Stuff version. And Amy Pascal, with her giant hair, has to lift it up and say, what did you say? I didn't hear you. And then they released the film. And that's how that happened. Moving on to more Spider-Man related stuff. Spider-Verse 2 character news is what this is called. The Spot is going to appear, played by Jason Schwartzman. The Spot is a man who has little like black spots all over his body. I've always been unsure if it's a suit or his skin. But how do I explain it? They're like wormholes or something. So like there's a spot on his chest, Spider-Man will punch it, and then a spot will appear and he'll punch himself. It's stuff like that. I always wondered if the Spot could feel things going through his holes. So yeah, the Spot is going to be one of the villains in played by Jason Schwartzman. Seemingly he can teleport and travel around to different universes by way of his spots. Jorma Taccone? I don't know. I've never heard his last name spoken. He's one of the members of the Lonely Island. He will be voicing the Vulture, who people are saying is the Vulture from the Noir universe for some reason. I don't know where they're getting that. I guess from the video that they showed at whatever convention it was. Which makes me wonder if it's just going to be like an old-timey black and white version of the Vulture, or if they're going to go full in on Noir Vulture. Because the Vulture in the Spider-Man Noir comics was just goddamn Nosferatu. He looks like Nosferatu. He is a cannibal who killed and ate Uncle Ben. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Apparently Jorma, whatever, voiced the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Verse film, even though, like, you know, you can't really tell. Shea Wiggum has been cast as Gwen Stacy's father and Across the Spider-Verse. So, you know, we're finally going to see Gwen's universe, which is apparently very, like water brush, water paints, sort of painterly scenery and whatnot. Oh yeah, and Jessica Drew is going to be starring in the film, played by Issa Rae, who I've never heard of. Jessica Drew will also be pregnant, which is, you know, something that happened recently in the comics that was real big. Okay, and at an hour into this fucking thing, I've finally reached Miss Marvel. I've tuckered myself out, so here we go. Let's get this through. I don't want you to keep you sitting here too long. Miss Marvel Episode 1. I fucking loved it. I had a blast with it. It's so much fun. It was incredible. It's really creative and stylish. I really like the editing and like the scene transitions and the little, like, the fucking graffiti and the, oh my god, the texting scene where the, like, emojis and the messages were appearing in the environment. That was so fucking cool. It's just such a stylish, fun show. I am loving this show. It's so much fun, but oh my god, the amount of lens flares. What was up with that? Was that like some sort of like, ooh, check out all these lens flares because she has like energy powers or something? But then she doesn't. She sort of has like the crystal energy power. I think it's called like hard light constructs or something, if that's what it is. Which I did like. I didn't mind. Obviously, it is never going to be as good as her comic book power of embiggening, but I did think that her powers, at least in this episode, were better than just the plain Captain Marvel cosmic energy powers, which is what I sort of thought it was going to be. I like the look of it. It looks cool. It just, you know, like that jaggedy sort of, like, it looks like a candy rock or whatever those are called. The rock candy. So I didn't mind that too much, especially, possible spoiler alert, she might become an Inhuman at the end of the show, so maybe she does get her normal powers. Let's see. Yeah, so I really love this show. I had such a blast with it. It's so much fun. Iman Vellani is an incredible actress. Oh my god, she just fucking perfectly captures that cringy, awkward age of being a teenager where, like, you know, you have a shitty sense of, like, cringy, awkward humor, like when they're on the bikes and, like, they're messing around, or, like, when she's in the hallway at school. It's just perfect. She is perfect in this role. Kamala and Bruno are adorable together. I ship it, as Kamala would say. Oh my god, and Iman Vellani, she's fucking perfect as Kamala. Oh my god. Even, like, just as a person, she's like a fangirl who is super into the comics. She has this review on Letterboxd for what movie? Like, what is that movie called? 50 Shades of Grey, I think. And she's like, I've seen better love stories on. Fuck, what is it? Cut this part out. I can't remember what it's called. She's just such a fucking... She's incredible. I wish that we got more clearer shots of Avengers... cut that. Hold on. She is just fantastic. As a YouTuber, I can really relate to Kamala. Like, my only issues with this episode was that I wish we got more clear shots of Avengers Con. All we got was, like, real, like, the camera wouldn't stop fucking moving around. I wanted to see what was going on. And also, why was it held there? At Camp Leahy, or Lay? I can't remember how they pronounced it. Obviously, I know why, because that's where Captain America was born. That's where he was, like, you know, created, quote-unquote. So that makes sense that they would have it there in a way, but it's still a decommissioned military base. And, like, what kind of convention was that? It was like a rave going on. Everything was dark. You couldn't see shit. It's a pretty shitty fucking setup for a convention. Have the people who, like, wrote this and made this show never been to a goddamn convention before? Also, the weirdest thing is that Miss Marvel takes place in 2024. 10 years prior to this, in 2014, there was a man named Arnim Zola living in the basement as a giant computer Nazi. And now they're having Avengers conventions upstairs. This would be like if they held a fucking Comic-Con at a former Nazi headquarters or something. That's just a funny realization that I had when I saw the title or like the name of the camp on the sign. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, it's just heaps of fun. I love Kamala's little like animation intro. That was really fucking cool with like the little drawings and stuff. That was just so well put together and so much fun. Just like the creative way that they like mixed the medias and everything. I really enjoyed that intro sequence playing, what is his name? The Weeknd. I loved it from the very get-go. And so far, it seems like this episode, it's pretty high up there on my ranking of Disney Plus Marvel shows so far. Yeah, I think those are all the bullet points I got that I wrote down. Like every other fucking Marvel show on Disney Plus, it may as well be McDonald's because I'm loving it. Yeah, you're probably not going to hear me bitch too much about this show, just because I really dig it. It's really cool. I mentioned this before when I was talking about it, but I'm really glad that they are making a Kamala Khan show because it creates that diversity in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because, you know, fucking kids aren't reading goddamn comics. And the ones that are, they're not reading that many. So the way for these kids to... And even if they are reading the comics, so much of American culture has already put down comic books as something that is lesser than everything else. Oh, you read comic books. Get over there, peon. Go back to your squalor. So, because of that, because the MCU is more mainstream than comic books themselves, it's a great way for people, specifically young, girls, teenage girls, young girls who aren't white, to see themselves, in the media that is presented to them. Even if they are white, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this is such a nice diversification that it is, opening gates. Like, oh my gosh, think of how many in 20 years. There's like, what if a director is interviewed and she's like, oh yeah, I realized I wanted to become a director when I saw the first episode of Miss Marvel on Disney Plus. I wanted to. I saw Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, and I was fascinated by it. She said, and then someone else is like, some other woman is interviewed, and it's a comic book writer, comic book creator, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I wasn't into comics until I saw Miss Marvel, and then I had to get all the comics and read them, and blah blah blah." So just what that is doing for, cultures that aren't as broadly shown as just, the white guy or the white woman. I do think that's one of my favorite parts about this and about the Kamala Khan comic book series. I've never read it, I will say that. I've discussed this before. I haven't read a lot of modern comics, but I just think that this is a great show that is going to provide a lot of Halloween costumes for little girls who are really excited to see it. And it's relatable. I'm 38 years old, and I still felt that it was relatable, because it reminded me of when I was a teenager. So they do a great job there of being able to create this, or almost, it's like a modern day John Hughes movie or something. It's already setting up to become a great coming of age show. And so, like, if I'm feeling that, I can't imagine how people even younger than me are feeling about that. Especially the ones who actually like it. God knows what the ones who fucking hate it will say. Oh my god. I do not envy Iman Vellani with all the fucking racist shit and sexist shit she's gonna have to put up with. Jesus Christ. People are fucking monsters. Humanity is a blight. And you can quote me on that. But, yeah, in conclusion, I think it's a fantastic show. I think it's brilliant. I think it's really fun. I love all the characters. When her dad pops out behind the door dressed like a Pakistani Hulk, it is so adorable and so sweet and so hilarious. And I loved it. I loved her family. Her mom's a bit of a bitch. Just because of how uptight and strict and annoying she is. But, obviously that's supposed to be the character, so that's fine. Her brother's great. Her friends are great, even though we only really see Bruno. I just like everything about this show. And I'm really excited for it to continue. Yeah, and that's all I got to say about Miss Marvel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And now on to a show that I enjoy less, but still to a better degree than most. Obert-Wan Benobi, Episode 4 released. I really enjoyed it. I liked it more than Episode 3, which I felt wasn't the best. I only have 2 bullet points here. And so I'm going to try and draw this out as long as I can. Obert-Wan Benobi, Episode 4. I love seeing the Imperials doing stuff. I love seeing, like all their facilities and shit. So I was eating this up. I never played Jedi Fallen Order. I tried watching, like, a playthrough of it with just, like, the cutscenes, but I just got too bored and I didn't bother watching and finishing. Apparently this was a mission in that video game where you sneak into the Fortress Inquisitorius, which is a fucking funny name. Sounds like it should be lyrics of a rap from the 80s. So I guess it was similar to this. Third Sister continues to be a terrible human being, and she fucking just threatening and manipulating a child. Oh my god, what a fucking piece of shit. But yeah, I did really enjoy this episode. I am super bummed out that we only have 2 episodes left this season, although there is going to be a season 2. But this is just, it has gone by so fast, yet so little has happened. This is not what I expected the Obi-Wan show to be. I thought it would be primarily on Tatooine. I thought the first 3 episodes would be Leia's kidnapped arc, but no, this is the whole fucking season. I thought it would be more of a character study into Obi-Wan. Well, I didn't think that because I knew that wasn't going to happen because it's a Disney Star Wars production. So I wasn't expecting it to be like, I don't know, the first thing that came to mind for some reason was the 3 burials of Melquiades Estrada. So I wasn't expecting something like that. But we saw very little of Obi-Wan and his mental state and his emotional state in the first episode, and then ever since then we haven't seen anything, which, if it was done better, it would have felt like it's Obi-Wan doing that on purpose. Like, he doesn't want to think about those things, so he takes the job of helping rescue Leia to, suppress these bad feelings he's having. But that's not what happens. I was hoping it would focus more on Obi-Wan himself and, his struggles and whatnot, flashbacks maybe. But we just haven't gotten that. I do like his growing relationship with Leia. When they held hands at the end, like when she grabbed his hand, it did make me tear up a little bit. So that was really sweet, and we're learning like why when the Tantive 4 is attacked in A New Hope, why he was the guy that she sends a rescue message out to. Somebody that she knows she can trust that's nearby, essentially. I can't remember, do they ever say why they're going to Tatooine or why they're flying past Tatooine? It's been so long since I watched like Rogue One, I don't know if they ever mention it. Were they going there? What was it? Were they going to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan? To like get help with like the whole Death Star plans thing? Is that why they were going there? Or did they just... I can't remember. Did they just come out of hyperspace and happen to be near Tatooine? Let me know in the comments, because I cannot remember for the life of me. Assuming that it's ever been explained. But yeah, my only other note that I have on Obert-Wan Benobi Episode 4 is that poor Tara Sanoob was in stasis. That, like, amber shit. What was that, by the way? Tara Sanoob, if you're unaware, is that goat-looking Jedi that's frozen up there in that stuff. He appeared in an episode in Season 2 of The Clone Wars when Ahsoka loses her lightsaber in Coruscant, or like on one of the levels of Coruscant. Like a thief steals it or something, like a pickpocket maybe, I can't really remember. And he helps her retrieve it. So it was very sad seeing that he did not survive Order 66. And like, the whole thing of everybody that watched this show is wondering is, what the fuck is going on with those Jedi? Are they in stasis? Are they dead? Are they having like their vitals removed, like blood injection shit or something? Are they part of like whatever experiments that the Emperor's doing? Is it a trophy room? Is it some sort of like trophy room for the Inquisitors? Because we see one of those kids from the original, or from the flashback, which I'm surprised they have not followed up on yet. I imagine that's coming in this week's episode, the one that, episode 5 or episode 6. I still think that Reva is either going to turn on her fellow Padawans, or she's going to be like captured by Anakin, or turn herself over or something, or she's going to like, kill the Padawans or something. Yeah, so it was interesting that one was there. Maybe it's like, oh yeah, well, because how many... We see the Goat Man, we see those two people dressed in like tribal sort of outfits. We see the kid, we might see one more, so that's about 5. Maybe it's like, oh, this is the first Jedi you hunted down, so now we're gonna save them as like a trophy. And that's why the kid's there, is because Reva killed that fucking kid when she was a kid, and that's technically her first Jedi that she killed. Or, hunted. I don't know. What else? Anything other interesting bits? Ice Cube's son was in it, O'Shea Jackson. I was shocked. I was like, when he first showed up, I thought it was him. But then I was like, no, that's not him. He looks too different. I think it was the beard, because I was shocked when the credits came up and it was him. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Obert-Wan Benobi Episode 4. Only 2 left. 1 after when you're watching this. But yeah, that brings this episode of the podcast to an end. Again, as always, Destructo Boy, The Era of Alpha Cardinal, Part 1 of 2 is on sale now. Etsy.com/shop/Blake T. Wild. $9.99 plus shipping and handling for physical, $5 for digital. But if it's between you and me, I'd go with physical to get a free little head sketch included in here. So there you go. Boom, 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 boom. Check that out. Follow me on Instagram at NotBlakeWild and at Smokey's Videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Smokey's Videos. Still working. I'm working on like 2 or 3 videos at the same time. So I'm working on the next What Is video, and I'm working on 2 other ones that I don't want to say right now. So, and I'm also still working on that comic book that I was hired to do. I'm finishing up coloring that, so I'm spread thin. So that's why I've only gotten the podcast out, just because this is pretty easy to record and then edit and then release. So yeah, give me your thoughts on anything that I discussed this week. Rob Zombie's Munsters, Doctor Strange comics, any recommendations? I got most of the Englehart ones from Marvel Premiere. What sort of trade paperbacks was his stuff collected in? Ezra Miller, what do you think about that? Let's see. Joker 2, you excited for it? Ghostbusters, what do you think about all that Ghostbusters shit? Let me know in the comments, just while you're watching these videos, this podcast, just comment as you go. Why not? Yeah, that's all I have. I will see you all, hear you all, speak to you all next week when I go over... What do I have next week? I already have some notes planned. But I cannot remember. More Miss Marvel, more Obert-Wan Benobi, some more comic book stuff, and a couple of movie things. Same thing. That's a pretty, that's a pretty out there list of stuff, I know, but stick around. Bye.